Hi Maxim. So I'm gonna show you how to make a curtain. Today we're gonna learn how to make curtain. So I took this material because it has front and back, but I think if you take the TPU folder, there is no back and front, so it doesn't matter. But so how you do it, you have the textile, you have the upper edge of a curtain. So when you do the lengths, you need to add like 5 centimeters to the lengths on top, and however thick you want the bottom to be, that's how much you add at the bottom. So for example, you're doing the upper part. You have your forehang band. It has the hooks, like the loops. So the loops have to be in front of you. And then you put the lower edge of the forehang band. So this is the upper edge where the hooks are on top, and this is the lower. And you put the lower to this side of a curtain. And then you have to stitch it to the textile. I mean, first, like maybe to attach it with the pins. You can kind of like close the edge of the textile that is not nice with this. And then you stitch it, this part. So you make a line, of the machine. You're stitching here. So you stitched everything, so now it's connected. So in your case, it will be connected here, like this. So you first like put your forehang band on the textile, you attached it with the pins for it to be easier, and then you stitch here. And then you need to fold it like this. So then you have a curtain, and this is gonna be a front of a curtain, and this is gonna be a back of a curtain with the forehang band stitched on the back. And so you need to understand like how much to fold. And in order to understand this, you need to see like you have your transparent hook. You put it into the loop. And then you have your element that you're connecting with, like this, or I don't know, I think you have a roll. You have a bit different. You have a roll with the hook. I'm not sure exactly. So you have this thing attached, and this is the element that you put in the curtain rail. So you want the curtain to be like, the closest to the rail as possible. So you have the rail, like this is the piece of a rail. And so then you need to raise this edge of the, like, to understand how much you need, like until the rail. So in this case it's almost like a centimeter or so. So then you fix this somehow, like maybe with the pin, or you take a ruler and measure this distance. Then you can take it off. And so now you have the distance at which you need to fold your upper seam. So this is, for example, this like centimeter. Then you like take a ruler and like mark exactly what is the length. And then you fold it all, like maybe you also use the pins, and you attach this. So you attach two pieces like all together, like now it was one, and now you're gonna attach when it's folded already. And then in this case, when you have here the seam that you don't see on the front, and the only thing you need to do is then just to go with the machine on this line. So in this case you will have the stitches here, like maybe 5, like whatever, you have this distance to stitch. So you stitch along this line, like you can put the feet of the machine parallel to this, so it's easier. And then when you take out the pins that you don't need anymore, then you have the stitch only on this edge, like you have only one stitch, and then you have this enough of like material to hide the hook, and like if you even have like more of the textile, you can hide also these elements. I don't know if you can see it. Like, so you have the curtain very close to the rail, and that's always depending on which elements you use here, like what is the height of them. Yeah, and at the beginning of the rail, or not the rail, at the beginning of the curtain, of course, you have like in case when you have like a regular curtain, you have this thing folded, so it's nice. And you can do it also with the TPU foil. I think with the foil or whatever, like the materials that you're using now, you don't need to do the side edge. Maybe you can do, if you want, like a centimeter or something. And then you, like, not that much, but like now it's not very right, but you do like this. You do this small fold like this. And then you start the work from here, actually. I should have shown it in the beginning. Like the beginning of the forehang band, you also sort of like fold it nicely, so it's not like just a raw edge of this thing touching the edge of the curtain. Yeah, something like this. And here you go, and then you have like your distance, like it depends like how, when, where do you put your hooks. Like the smaller distance, the smaller the wave is, and the bigger distance, the bigger the wave. So it depends like how soft your textile and how draped you want it to have, how much textile you have, like this fullness ratio of like what is your length, and how much textile, what is the length of the rail, and how much textile you want to arrange there. Is it twice the length? Is it 1.5 the length of the rail? So that's like how you decide on the position of the hooks. But you, yeah, you can try it out later. Okay, I hope this helpful. It's 8 minutes video. Please subscribe, like, share, and have a great day. Ciao.